things to do before Dawntrail comes out in Final Fantasy XIV. And let's tackle the obvious right out of the way is playing other games. Go do other things. Learn a new hobby. Work on that backlog of games. I know you have one. He's looking at you. He knows you have one. So if you have a backlog of games, now is as good a time as any because there's going to be a 9-month break before we get any new content released. Obviously, playing other games, doing other things. Just want to get that out of the way. Now, for those of you who feel like they have to play Final Fantasy and want to play Final Fantasy, I have a list of things that I'm going to run through rather quickly and then go through all of them. The obvious is doing any content that you haven't done before, unlocking new content, leveling other classes' jobs, whether it be crafters and gatherers, unlocking raids, tribes, doing your relics, Bajra and Eureka, tackling ultimates, Island Sanctuary, Diadem are other good things, Palace of Dead, Heaven on High, Eureka, Orthos are also great options, doing Blue Mage content, collecting all of the mounts and minions in the game, collecting all of the triple triad cards in the game, and then achievement farming, whether that comes from PvP, hunt trains, fates, ocean fishing, Diadem, big fish. There's tons of large achievements and long-term achievements to go after in this game. I suggest going to FFXIV.collect. Just Google that and it'll show up all the achievements in the game. If you're looking for an achievement to hunt, now is a great time to do that. If you've never done Savage before, now is a great time to do that. That's just a list of a bunch of things. Obviously, people who've been through this before and have experienced break and expansions before, share your comments down on what you did to help some of us newer players out. I am new to Endwalker. I've basically only ever played Endwalker. I've started playing Final Fantasy 2 months before Endwalker came out, so I don't really have an experience with the lull between expansions. So anything you can do, share that down in the comments below and help a bunch of people out. Tackling some of the things that I said on my list, I want to say the obvious of unlocking content that you haven't done. There is tons of content to do, especially if you haven't done it all, whether that be the Alliance raids, which I think are some of the most fun content in this game. Ultimates are obvious if you haven't done those before, but more on that in a little bit. Raids are good content. I like the tribe quests. Some of the side quest content's good, like Hildebrand would be a good one if you haven't started all of the relic journeys. Anything to unlock any of the relics is a good thing. The Criterion dungeons and the variant dungeons, I think those are very good story content things that you can unlock. But basically, you have to find out, and there is the FFXIV wiki that has tons of things on things that you can unlock, whether it be the extremes that you haven't done before. Just unlock it all. All of the content that you have to do is basically phenomenal. So anything that you haven't done, try unlocking some of that new stuff. Now, I did mention a little bit earlier with Eureka and Bajra and some of the relic grinds. Now, I'm focusing on Eureka and Bajra because I do think these areas are going to be a lot more populated, and they tend to be more populated at the ends of expansions from what I hear because people have nothing else to do really, and these are huge zones for grinding out relics. They both have relics tied to them, and the glamour for them is pretty good. Eureka has the elemental armor set as well, which is some of the best glamour in the game, and the only place to get it is by completing all of Eureka, which is a large time sink. So I do think Eureka is going to increase in popularity. Same with Bajra, as the resistant relics are some of the best relics and glamour in the game. So I do expect people to be going after those as well. Now is the time I'm going to touch on ultimates because the obvious. They are large time sinks, and some of the limitations between gearing for them is gone because none of them are linked to a current Savage tier, and you have plenty of time to do them. And with there being no new content and the current Savage tier dying down a little bit, I do expect some of the raiding community to gravitate towards ultimates. It's very easy to commit to an ultimate when you know you're not getting a new Savage rating tier in like 3 months or so. So now would be a good time to experiment with ultimates. There's 5 available, and if you've never done an ultimate content, I do suggest you start with Ucob and Uwu, which are 2 of the easiest, I will say the 2 easiest of the 5 that are available, and getting your feet wet. You don't have to commit to finishing them, but I do think it's a type of content that you should experience once, whether it is you try to complete it at all or just see what the different difficulty and what the pinnacle of Final Fantasy difficulty raid experience is. Now, I didn't mention it on my list because it's kind of tied to doing content that you've done before, but on different jobs and roles. If you've never tried out healing before or tanking before, now is a great time to do so. That's another thing that you can do to make the content feel fresh again, is experiencing it from a different role. Other things to do are going to come down to basically minion and mount collecting, whether that be extreme farming or tackling like Palace of the Dead and some of the deep dungeons. There's tons of mounts tied behind those. There are minions locked behind tribe quests. There's emotes locked behind tribe quests. You can start collecting any of the emotes, triple triad cards, mounts, and minions that you haven't done. There's tons of them locked behind difficult achievements. And once again, FFXIV Collect is a great way to figure out where any of these minions come from. Even Garlemald tools now would be a great time to go after any of those. I'm certainly going to try to collect a lot of them in this downtime and work on some of the long-term achievements that I have. And that leads me into my next point, is find a long-term achievement that you want to do. I personally have done World Class Troller, and that took me like 6 months to do. So now is a good time to do that. Other things would be like hunt trains and S ranks, things that you can't just sit down and grind out because they take a lot of time or they are time limited, such as big fish. Now is a good time to tackle big fish, and with some fish only spawning once a week, it's going to take you many weeks to finish this anyway. So might as well start working on it if it's something that you're looking forward to do. Another one with the long-term grinds are going to be PvP and the Dynam. PvP, there's things that takes like 5,000 wins. Start cracking away at that. Don't try to do that in a week or in one sitting, because you're not going to be able to do it, and you're going to burn out and you're going to not want to play the game. Find things that you can chip away with, because that's how you're ultimately going to get some of these things done. Diadem, I'm obsessed with dinosaurs, so I'm going to have to get 50,000 or 500,000 sky shard points or whatever they're called on every single gathering and crafting class to get my dinosaur, because I want a dinosaur. Things like that, things that you find fun and ultimately at the end of the day are rewarding. I've done World Class Troller and ocean fishing before. It was such a relief and I was so happy when I was finally done, but it was also very rewarding to be done. So find something that you can do, whether it be ultimates or, you know, finding some of these long-term achievement fates, grinding out glamour. Find ways that you think will be fun to experience the game in a new way. That's my ultimate suggestion for you. One last thing that I have written down here is I'm going to try to learn it on a different input device, mainly because I think mouse and keyboard translates to other MMOs that are coming out easier than controller, and that's something I'm interested in doing, is playing other games and other MMOs, and I already like playing Final Fantasy, so I might as well learn it on mouse and keyboard so that I can take the skills I learn in this game and apply it to another game. Now that's a personal thing for me, but if you have a personal thing for you that you want to get better at, now is a good time to commit to that, because you're going to have a lot of time to work on that and you're not really going to be interrupted with a ton of new content. So that's just some of my suggestions. Obviously, you can leave down in the comments below other things that you think that other players should do, whether you've gotten through this before or just want to share some of the long-term achievements that you're going to go after. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a great day.